Hello and welcome back to Bourbon Barrel Talk. I'm your host, Scott Minton. We are sitting down in the bourbon bunker this week, and we are doing something a little different. I'm going to call this Anti-Weller Wednesday or something like that. I don't even know really what to call it. It's not even Wednesday. It's Tuesday, I think, isn't it?
We are a Tuesday, so we need I don't know.
Weeder Wednesday, but it's not Wednesday once again. So anyway, we are going to discuss
Tweeter Tuesday?
Tweeter Tuesday.
Tweeter?
Tuesday.
Okay.
I'm going to go with that just for you, Steven. So we are, people always talk, well, we can't find Weller and all this other stuff. And I'm like, well, what do you drink? And so we picked out two bottles. One is going to be one you're not going to find, right? And only because Nick wanted to pull something unique into the conversation. And then the other one is just an everyday shelfer. So we're going to drink Larceny, the old small batch 92 proof. And then we're going to have the Maker's 1996 Denim bottle, which for me, this is going to be a little bit of a test of time because to me, the Denim bottle doesn't taste like your typical Maker's. It doesn't taste quite as weedy as your normal Maker's does. So we're going to dive in on this. We'll start with the Larceny and we'll move from there. So on the nose on this bad boy, what are you all getting on this?
You definitely get like more of those earth tones. Like once you get to a weeded, like it's you need to reset your palate because you definitely get a different nose than what you would with like a high corn or high rye,
right?
Which is nice. It's a good transition. We're sitting at 92 proof on this Larceny. So, what is it? Price point $26?
$28, yeah, something like that. What I always say is the thing about weeded bourbons for me is the fact that they are very oily. They got a lot of legs to them. They usually hold to the glass a lot more than your typical high rye or low rye bourbons would. So
I feel like I'm out in a field somewhere, nose wise.
So weeders are always very earthy, but they are very sweet in my opinion. Like the smell is very earthy. You do get some nice and to me typically they're going to be like honey, a little bit of vanilla, not as much caramel. And then I always get some nuttiness whenever I have weeders typically, but we'll dive in. Everybody will have their opinion, and looks like Nick's already got the full smell and the full taste, and I'll let him give us the first assessment, and then we'll move over to Steven, and then I'll finish up on this one.
Yeah, no, I can't disagree with the oiliness. It really does. Those legs, it's taken a long time for them to come down the glass. Decent color. Like I said, nothing, that's going to show its age. You definitely get those earth tones, but it's like a sweeter earth tone. Like it's, I definitely go with more of the honey, or honeysuckle-ish tasting notes on the nose. It doesn't have a super long finish, but it's long enough that it wants me to come back for another one fairly quick.
For sure. I spilled a little bit on my hand there when I was sloshing it around, but
I definitely get the honey aspect as well. Nice, sweet, smooth taste going down your throat.
Yeah, baking spices. You get a little bit of nutmeg, a little bit of cinnamon in the very, very, very back part of your palate. Almost like a cookie too, though, but like a real bland cookie, like almost like a shortbread or.
Yeah, I don't think people if you pass it on the shelf, and usually. We have Total Wines here, so it's kind of that middle of the lower shelf, the second or the third shelf up from the bottom. I don't think people, unless they read the label, would understand this is a weeded. So it does have different things. I could definitely see. This is not bad at all. It's I can't find Weller on the shelves. Okay, no. And when they do put it on the shelves.
Sells out in 30 seconds.
We joke around. I give it 15 minutes, but it's true. But you can find this on the shelf. I think this is a very solid pour for a weeded bourbon. I have no complaints with this. It's nice and sweet. I could have this in a variety of ways, whether it's neat on the rocks or in a cocktail. And for $26, I wouldn't regret it.
So the Larceny for me, I actually love the way water goes in this. Matter of fact, I almost always drink this on the rocks, especially if I'm going with the barrel proof one. Because it really, really, you pick up those sweet notes and you get a little bit more of that floral and a good floral. Sometimes you get bad floral. Like you can get to me, I don't want like rose or hibiscus or something that's super, super florally. This is like a sweet, subtle, smell.
The barrel proof's not hard to find. I know it's more allocated, and they put it out occasionally, but it doesn't like fly off the shelf like your Weller.
Right. Correct.
But for this 92 proof, solid.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Very much so.
Another isn't Rebel Yellow a weeded blend?
I think so.
So I don't know.
Rebel Yell and Ezra Brooks both, I think.
I want to say Ezra is the low rye, but I'm not 100% certain. I'll have to go back and look at my notes.
They're both really good.
They're both absolutely great pours for sure. But I think that the Ezra Brooks is more of the low rye, and the Rebel Yell is the weeded mash bill for them. But yeah, I love the way water goes on this. It keeps the finish is still there, but it brings out some of those more sweet notes on the pour overall.
And I think I'd like this better with water, definitely. And when I've had it before, it's always just been a neat pour, and I see the real difference now.
Yeah, for me, like I said, it just for some reason brings out some more of those sweet notes. And like I said, for me, it's almost like a cookie, and I don't want to be one of those snobby people and be like, oh, it's marzipan or it's speculoos or some weird ass thing that nobody's ever heard of or that only like 10% of the population has. But I mean, sugar cookie, a shortbread. It's nothing that's like super sweet, but it's that bakery, buttery, smooth, sweet, like textured cookie. It's obviously not a chocolate chip or anything like that or an oatmeal because it's not that spicy, but that's what I get on this one, especially with the water in there.
Kind of a low sugar snickerdoodle.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Like a low sugar snickerdoodle, something that, doesn't have a ton of sugar in it, but, you get that. You more get the vanilla
Right.
and the actual sweetness from it than you do, the actual, that brown sugar. Because I think of always brown sugar as being like that. It's got a very distinct sweetness to it versus regular old, processed white sugar.
Yes.
Even turbinado, turbinado just tastes so much different, even though it's a sugar base. So now we're going to dive into this denim. Do you want to talk a little bit about the denim bottleneck and kind of where does it come from and how did it all come about and why did you buy 2 cases of it?
I did buy a lot. So makers, this is one of the very few makers that I will try to keep as stocked on my shelf as possible. So this is homage to the 96 UK Championship. From what I had. They call it the Denim. It's a very unique label. So it has like I don't know what the marketing person did, but it kind of looks like blue jeans. So it has like a blue label, white wax, and then the 96 tack strip right across the top. But the blue label kind of looks like this, like light blue, dark blue, like a pair of blue jeans.
Denim.
Exactly. That's why a lot of people call it the Denim bottle. I don't know. There's just something about this bottle that has a different taste than other makers. And I don't know why. It's been asked several times to various people at makers, and they swear that nothing has changed. But there's definitely a darker color, and there's definitely a unique taste to it. I often tell people unless you're a huge collector of makers and you want it to sit on your shelf, that this is the one bottle you should probably crack, or buy 2 cases and crack all of them. Or hope that you find 2 cases and they all have hairline cracks. That way you can justify opening all of them. But no, it's I don't know if are we into the dusty area? I don't know what's considered like vintage dust. I mean, it's 20 years old, right?
I would definitely consider this a dusty, and the main reason, I mean, it's 25 years old. Let's be honest. I mean, 1996, 25 years old.
I mean, I was born in '85. I mean, so I was like 10 years old.
That's
I mean,
what I'm saying.
I was playing like Little League. I don't even know what grade I was in.
I got married in '96, so me, so to me, this is definitely a little dusty. I don't even want to know when you got married, Steven. It's probably a long time ago.
Which time?
Wow. He said, I got 9 honeys, man. I've been married 45 years to 6 different women. I got this.
Not exactly.
But Makers is a weeded bourbon.
It is a weeded bourbon, but it smells nothing like regular Makers to me.
No,
Not at all.
You definitely get.
I mean, this is such a unique pour. I'm glad you brought it out because I know Steven hadn't tried it yet, but
and Steven just wants to keep nosing it.
dude, I'm telling you, you want to nose bang this glass, because I'm not allowed to say the other word. So this is definitely a nose banger. We'll put it that way.
We've been really good with the language on like the previous podcast.
Absolutely.
I mean, once Jazzy or Matt, once he gets here, you know, he kind of.
You just never know what's going to happen with Matt, right?
But I mean, we've been pretty good.
Even LFG was pretty good.
I was actually able to edit out his infractions out of the last episode that we did with him. So.
Yeah, once we go live video, we're gonna have to put like censor boxes, you know, like
put up the little scrolly, like what is it, like the @ sign and the pound sign.
Yes, we're gonna have to insert some of those.
Beep him. I don't know if I can put a drop box on there or not. Matt in his potty mouth.
Yeah, so I mean, this is just a solid nose. A lot of times, I'll be honest, you can't find it unless you get on some of the sites, secondary sites, or there's. In the case I had, I was very fortunate. A good friend of mine found like 2, maybe 4 cases down in like Owensboro. Like, I guess a liquor store owner. I don't know if he acquired a shop or what happened, but he basically is in the back. And I go, I'll take 2 cases, please. And a lot of people was like, why do you want 2 cases? And I go, try a pour and tell me why you don't want 2 cases. Honestly, you know.
Right. And it definitely is unique. So the nose on this thing is just, I mean, it's sweet. It's sugary, it's baking spices. I mean, there's nutmeg and there's cinnamon, and
it's definitely one of the sweeter noses I've.
Yeah, it has a sweeter nose, but you also get like that slight hint of, you know, with that wood and leather. So you kind of get those dusty aspects, but it's like a sweeter dusty. It's not like, you know, those 60s or 70s Jim Beams where it's just like slapping your mouth full of like a leather belt type of thing. Right. But I mean, it's like, to me, I like this bottle, and I like it a lot because you get those sweet notes, but yet you get the hints and the dusty aspect of it. So it's one of those, a lot of times when I'll have it, people make fun of me because I'll do a Lee Gettings, and by Lee Gettings, I will sniff the glass like all night. Like I just love the nose of it. Like I'll probably smell it more than I drink. And Lee is known for smelling the glass, especially when you get a really good nose. It's just like one of those I can't get away from it. It keeps bringing you back in.
No, for sure. I haven't even sipped on it yet. I just keep nosing it. It's like pipe tobacco, like Grandpa's pipe tobacco. Like that's what I get. I mean, you dive in on this thing, and it's just like that type of sweetness, you know. That or like a Swisher Sweet, you know, type, you know, very, very sweet, you know, cigar.
Yeah, a lot of time. I've seen some at like antique shops or pawn shops and stuff like that, sitting on the shelf, and people always inquire, like, "Hey, what do you think about this bottle?" And I always say, "Hey, get it if the price point's good, and then open it." And it's like, I don't know, it's a collector. I go, collector versus drink. I go, drink it every time.
This is definitely a drinker.
Yes.
That's the problem, though. We've got too many people in our industry and in our world that look at bottles. Let's be honest. I mean, you know, you go into their house and you sit down and you talk with them, and they've got like 6 bottles open, and none of them are worth more than, you know, $80. And then you have some guys that you walk in and they got 40 bottles that are open, and all of them are all over the place as far as, you know, from $20 up to, you know, $1,500. So you can definitely tell who your drinkers are when you walk into a house or look at a bar.
Oh, yeah.
I don't buy anything that I won't open. I'm collecting nothing except inventory to drink.
Inventory to drink. That's right. You said very openly that you were trying to stash as much as you could before you retired because you would have less money when you retired.
I've done what I can.
He has done his job, and he has done it well.
I've done my job, and I've done it really well.
And what Ellen doesn't know.
But yeah, this glass, I mean, just the smell, the sweetness, the floral, that tobacco.
Thank you for sharing, Nick.
Yeah, no,
this is awesome.
Even the color. I mean, the color is just so rich. It's when you compare it to like your new maker's private selection. I still think this bottle's darker than some of the like the private selections. Like it just has a nice, rich amber color.
I don't really want to add water to this, but it's what I do.
You almost have to like take another like couple drinks and then add like 2 drops at the very end. That way you can get the full effect, but.
It also, too, almost
Or we could get the bottle back.
What is it?
I see you eyeing the bottle. You cannot have this.
Trade you for my OGD.
So back in the day, the hipsters that I hung out with would smoke clove cigarettes.
I remember cloves, DeJarums.
Yeah.
So Black Box.
So to me, that's almost what you get on this thing.
I could see that.
That mid palate, like the smell of that clove cigar, like that spicy, like sweet, spicy smell. Like
I used
the
to have,
mid palate.
I used to have friends that would smoke cloves, and I would hang around because I just like the smell. Like I'm just like, what is it? You know, it's not like your Marlboros, but I'm just like, what is that smell? These are cloves. They're illegal in 14 states. I'm just like, well, it smells pretty good.
Yeah, it smells fantastic. Yeah, that was always my thing. But that's what that, like the mid palate of this, that's what the smell from a clove cigar or cigarette. I've never smoked them, so I don't know what they taste like, but
I would just smell them. I very distinctly remember that smell to a point where if you go to a crowd and I go, someone's smoking a Dejarm. And they're like, what? I go, that's a Dejarm. I can tell you right now.
Right. The black boxes. One of the guys I played Magic with, his name was Dave Lugo. He used to smoke those things like left and right. And I was like, how do you afford those? Because they were way more expensive than cigarettes at the time.
And this was like, we're talking 2000s. I think Marlboros or whatever cigarettes were like $3.79 a pack maybe.
And these were like $5 or $6. Yeah.
I was going to say 6-ish, maybe 7.
Yeah.
Like, so 2 to 3 times as much as.
Yeah. All right. Got a little water in there. Doesn't really do much with the nose. What do you think, Steven? Did you add water?
I added a little water. I like it better neat, personally. Taste is still good. I just like the neat taste.
Yeah. I mean, it's sitting at 90 proof. I still think this is probably, back in the 90s, I still think the oak and the age of the barrels before like the big bourbon boom, I think that had a lot of the impact on why some of these bottles, especially out of that time range, are so phenomenal. Because instead of going from the 6-7 year small batches, maybe you're talking 8, 9, 9, 10, maybe different type of all this other. I think there's various aspects, and maybe
older wood in the barrel.
Yeah, and maybe the maker's mark like, oh, this is the same recipe we've had for 100 years or whatever it is, and it could be right, but you got other factors in it, like the barrels, like the age, and some of the stuff that make this such a phenomenal bottle. That again, if you have one, if you see it, buy it, crack it. I don't think you'll be disappointed.
Yeah, I thought that whenever the last batch I saw, they were around $80 a piece, $75-$80 a piece, and you're saying they're as high as what, 110, 120 now?
Yeah, 80 to 90, maybe even 100. I think is more than fair if you're out there looking for a bottle. I've seen as high as 120, 130. I mean, everyone has their price point. Regardless, I'd rather get one of these bottles personally than like a regular's maker. I'd rather invest the extra $20-$30. Phenomenal bottle.
We probably shouldn't tell people how good these are.
Yeah. Man. Can we edit? Can we cancel the show? Like,
we can't.
Never mind. This is horrible bottle. Don't go out and buy this.
Bottle tastes like ass.
It would be interesting to see what other makers' bottles from that era, 94, 95, 97.
My thing is, how do you tell? Like, I mean, the maker's bottle has not changed. I mean, like the label, the wax, I mean, everything about it.
It'd have to be a special bottle.
I mean, you'd have to find it.
Yeah, I mean, even going back to, I think, was it the 70s? Because occasionally you see like, again, you got the various auction pages and dusty pages and stuff like that. I think even like the 70s, I mean, the bottle has stayed the same. Maybe the amount, I mean, this is a 1 liter, so it's not your 750. This is a 1 liter, which is different. But I have a good buddy, Mike Marlowe, who bought some of the, I think he had a 96 Tennessee edition, and then the Denim, and then like a couple other 96s. So we're going to try to, I think, crack all of them and see if there's a difference. The only 96, I'll be honest, I've had is the Denim, and that's the only one I actively seek out. So stay out of my way, please.
I should probably get one of these and put it on my shelf and let it sit till my next big anniversary for my 30 year, and then crack it open.
I know a guy.
You know a guy. All right. So we got Larceny and
solid pour,
92 proof, everyday shelfer you can find, and then
better with water.
It definitely could stand up to a Weller. I mean, I would say, especially Weller Special Reserve.
Yeah,
I don't know that it would stand up against an OWA.
I would throw this with the Special Reserve and let it go head to head.
Yeah,
I really would.
And I don't think you would be disappointed. And then the makers, obviously this is it's a different beast. Even though it's a weeder, it doesn't drink like your typical weeder. It's so much more sweet and savory all at the same time. It's just a really, really solid pour overall. So I appreciate you letting us crack into that bad boy.
Yeah, not a problem.
Definitely.
So if you want to follow us on Bourbon Barrel Talk, you can do that on our Facebook page, our Instagram, our Twitter. You can look up our our website, Bourbon Barrel Talk, www.bourbonbarreltalk.com. Sorry, let me correct that. And then if you want to email us any questions, that's how we started with our last series that we just started with the Everyday Shelfers. Is, somebody emailed a question about, hey, what can I find out there that's not super rare? Or, when people hear us talking about the bottles that are one-offs and things like that, store picks, they wanted to hear a little bit more about regular stuff. So that's what this is all about. We're just trying to tell people about, other things that are out there other than, the things we get through the local bourbon club. So this is Scott, Steven, Nick signing off. Peace.